depictions of war. There are depictions of child neglect and abuse. But overall, it's fun stuff. So this first piece is an experimental piece I wrote a few weeks ago. It's called Bone Fragments, an archaeological excavation. My mother would disappear, sometimes for up to a week. I would shoplift groceries at the Ralph's in North Hollywood to feed my little brother and myself. It didn't feel like stealing. I always took a list. I don't remember the movie by name. I was 8 or 9. I fell hopelessly in love with the beautiful princess. For the next 50 years, I was sure that I would find her in the bright eyes of every neurotic narcissist I dated. I was always disappointed, but she was always there. I hate to carry a lot of change in my pockets. It reminds me of when I had to go to the laundromat with my little brother. I always tried to use some of the change to buy him candy. He was easier to handle in public spaces when he had candy. I was always reluctant to make promises to my children. I didn't want to disappoint them. I would just say, "We'll see," when they asked for a commitment. They were always disappointed. I killed my dog yesterday. She was failing. I killed her before she failed. I will never know when she would have actually failed. I didn't wait for the end of that movie. I've built a life around listening to the music others make and trying to match the syncopation. There is some peace in slowly going deaf. It isn't really silence, just the absence of noise. More artifacts, another layer. My grandson told me that he thought going to prison would be really awesome. He said that it would be relaxing to be forced into compliance, or basically that. I got $10 an hour to model nude for the art school in the 1970s. I told my friends I was doing it for the money. I was lying. I tried to become an alcoholic during my freshman year of college. I drank 2 warm beers for breakfast every day, but then I went to class. I fucked it up. I should have skipped class. Last night I dreamed that I shaved off my beard. My girlfriend broke up with me, then I woke up. I told her about the dream and she laughed. "Yeah, how dare you change your appearance without my permission?" My biological mother was 17 when she conceived me. My daughter was 17 when she conceived my grandson. My grandson is now 17. He lives with me. I think about what he may be conceiving as I write this. I lived with my great-grandparents until I was 3, until my great-grandfather started having seizures. I asked if he was going to get better, if I was going to be able to come back home to them. They did not want to disappoint me. They said, "We'll see." Thank you. Okay, this next one I will let each of you decide what it's really about, but it is called Why Men Should Not Own Parrots. A big Amazon gray. That's what I'm not going to have. The blank, feral countenance, almost too much to bear, like looking into a mirror. They live a long time. Such a commitment. My friend had one once. It went on a rampage, repeatedly, like a confused, angry child. It turned everything over and then did it again. Finally exhausted, it sat, confused, wondering why so much effort led to so little effect. The mood swings are the hardest part. A man needs stability, and they bite. You must feed them every day, and they will send scattered seed husks to the floor that may cause you to slip and fall if you are not careful. They are always hungry. I've read that you can leave on the television. The noise and light provide some stimulation while you are away. When you do arrive home, they become excited, and they try to hide their emotions with kung fu kicks from the perch, waiting for you to make the first move towards reestablishing a relationship that is diminished in your absence, even if only for the day. They are related to the dinosaurs and seem afraid of the same extinction. That is why they cling to your shoulder, waiting for you to whisper your secrets to them. They like repetition, It makes them feel secure. You must know what they need without being told, or they become waspish and aloof, or sometimes solicitous, like a child who smells the candy in your pockets. It is exhausting to be the object of such anticipation without direction. No wonder you delay your arrival longer each day. Perhaps a parakeet or cockatiel, light enough to perch on your finger, will suffice. Certainly one of those would be harder to notice when you are tired and do not wish to attend. And where there is less weight, there is less gravity, and the tantrums are smaller. Thank you. Okay, this next one is about my dad, and it's about war. It's called Not a Hero. My father was past 80 when he finally began to tell us about the war. It was his first war, when he was only 20. He served during 3 conflicts, but it was that first war that marked him. It started when we found the box of his medals, and we told him that he was a hero. He became angry. He rejected the label with scorn. He told us that he knew heroic men, but that he was not one of them. He said, first you get scared, and you stay scared. You are frightened for so long and so relentlessly that you get angry, and you stay angry. And you are angry for so long and so relentlessly that you get stupid. You start to take risks. You do crazy things that you would never have imagined. And if those crazy things don't get you killed, well, then they give you medals. But it was all just because you were afraid, and you didn't want to be there, and you could not believe that you were there. How the hell did it happen? You were pissed at yourself and the enemy and your mission and the cold and the dirt and the bullets and the goddamn army. He said the good war movies got a lot of it right, at least the newer ones. But he said they couldn't get at his deepest memory of it all. The smell. He told us of the smell of his own skin and of the men around him in the foxholes. Once they had a break, the major told them to put the torn and worn uniforms that they had been wearing for months into a pile, a gigantic pile of filthy fabric, and they doused it with kerosene to burn the stench and the lice. And they all got cold showers, and fresh uniforms were on the way. But the new uniforms never got there. Each man had to pick through the pile of kerosene-soaked garments, trying to find something close to the right size with correct rank and insignia. He said he spent 2 more months in another man's clothes, and that it took a week before the stink was his own again, even through the stench of kerosene. But they were grateful. At least the fuel killed the lice. He said the cold that winter was worse than the artillery. The shells came in waves. There were lulls and valleys in the action, but the cold was constant. He said you got worried if it stopped hurting. That meant the cold was winning. So you would shake and stomp to bring back the pain that told you you were still alive. And then he showed us his 3 belly buttons from the bullet wounds. But this time he wasn't being silly, like every time before. This time he was in earnest. For the first time, he was bearing witness. It wasn't a punchline anymore. He told us all of these things almost quietly, quickly, and with an embarrassment bordering on shame, but also some stubborn pride. He just wanted us to know that he was not a hero, you see. Thank you. Well, if you go out on Route 70, you see all of these RV parks all over, full of what I will call the new homeless. They're people who carry their homes around with them. They're living in vans, they're living in the backs of trucks. This recession is starting to take them down following COVID. And I've written a poem about these folks called Ramblings. We desperately need to not need each other, and nobody can do that alone. It takes a village to flee a town that has stopped being a community. Faded infrastructure highways have the care of the caravan winding toward a mountain range. that never seems to grow closer. It looms in my peripherals while I stir the Campbell soup and wish for one more cigarette, because that first puff in the morning still tastes like sea and metal, not metallic, but the cold steel of a blade in my chest that can never be coughed all the way up anymore. And it's not the sea tang, but blood, and in an hour it will be metallic if it still sits in my gums. So I swallow. And I hope Bill shows up today, because I like his dog. And petting her makes me forget Bill is there, and that's good because I never liked that SOB. But his dog's neck has that kind of fur that makes you feel like you're holding on to something real. Thank you. Okay, another kind of experimental one. It's called "The Universe is Porous and Osmosis Creates a Bleeding." You locked us in our attic bedroom on nights when you wanted to have sex. We had to pee in the toy box. I blamed it on the cat. We all leak slightly. We all resist looking at the stain. At 14, I stopped your swinging, stinging slap as I caught your wrist in my palm mid-swing. I saw in your eyes what you thought you had made. The punished child becomes every man who has ever struck you. Your blows had won, you thought. I dropped your hand. I was not your sin eater. I would not be your sin. Thank you. Well, success. Everybody's still here and everybody looks awake. I'm going to read one more. This came out in the Alien Budapest Pop Culture Anthology last year. Last year, Bob Dylan turned 80 years old. He also won the Nobel Prize for Poetry. So for all the poets around the world, he's sort of our patron saint these days. And so I wrote Bob Dylan a poem. I don't think he's read it. It is called "Killing Bob Dylan." Men try to kill a thing before it can tell them the truth. Bob was having none of that. He hit Highway 61 hard. Everything about him was elusive, except for the words, and of course the music. And they almost got him on his Triumph Tiger. But he was made of boot leather and non-filter cigarettes at 3 a.m. and promises that no man should have to keep. So he licked his wounds and was back on the road in a year, because he knew that it is magnificent to love something that is broken. And he loves all of us like a Jewish mother, doling out wisdom and criticism wrapped in newspaper and truth and some hope. He just wrote what he read in the papers, and when he saw a thing, he just said it. Sure, he went electric, but everybody was going deaf anyway, and he needed the volume. And he went country, because they would never look for him in Nashville with a loaded gun. To confect a life is hard, abandoning the shackles of structure without surrendering to chaos. Ask any warrior. Chaos breeds healing, born from resolve, and resolve is a paper sword. Bob's resolve was born from a dog's belly, ready to be expelled in a nauseous heave. Bob knew that the first sign of anything can be a stop sign or a crucifix. He burned down the fetid house without providing plans to build another, and he stole wisdom from the abyss of an asphalt parking lot. Bob saw that we have an awful lot of meat in the refrigerator, and he knew it would stain the furniture, and he knew that we needed a container. Bob saw that context has always been more important than punctuation, that life should be a poem and not a memo, because the form forces you into discretion. There is a sweetness to experiencing the end of things, and men must surprise even themselves with their secrets, trying to build a fire that will survive the rain. Bob knows a good person will only screw you if he has to. Thank you. Well, that's my time, and I have the honor of bringing back to the stage. Please join me in welcoming back to the stage for the second half, the Mighty Pines.
Hey folks, welcome back. It's good to be here and good to have you here.